New account because I've had my main Reddit for years and don't want it to be tainted by this god-awful situation. I don't know what to do, and nobody in my life has been able to help me. I'm lost. I've been with my girlfriend Hannah for 6 years, and she is absolutely everything to me. There's nothing I don't love about her. She's just amazing. She's helped me through the hardest times in my life so far, and I know I can say I've done the same for her. I also need to stress that she is a very intelligent, down-to-earth woman with no history of mental illness, to my knowledge. So it isn't possible that she just doesn't know she's pregnant, and I have no clue why she's denying it. At this point, I'm convinced that something is very, very wrong with her, but I don't know where to turn now. I had suspicions in August, September last year when she was throwing up a lot. I'm a nurse, so I work long hours and usually at night, so when I'm at home, she's asleep or at work. But sometimes I would get home and go to bed as she was getting up for work, and she would be sick 2 to 3 times before she left. I was concerned, obviously, and my first thought was either pregnancy or an eating disorder. But she told me it was her eating the wrong things because of stress and triggering her IBS/GERD. I have IBS too, and this is a common thing for me, so I believed her. She was also fatigued and laying around the house during the day when I was home, but she works a hard job too, and I understood, so it didn't faze me. I got worried when her body started to change. At first I thought it was just weight gain, which I didn't bring up because I honestly don't care. She's beautiful. I couldn't give a shoot what her body looks like. I noticed when she was naked or wearing tighter clothing that her belly was starting to poke out more. I didn't say anything because I don't want to even imply that I thought negatively of her weight. And as an eating disorder sufferer, I know that telling someone you're concerned can only push them deeper into it. After a few weeks, I made up something about her nausea and asked again if she might be pregnant, and she said she absolutely wasn't because of her birth control implant. She refused to take a test to reassure either of us and didn't talk to me for a couple of days, so like an idiot, I just let it go. The bit that really concerned me was a month or so ago, I think. We were cuddling really tight in bed. We always do this when we're actually in bed at the same time because we miss each other. And Hannah was asleep, but I wasn't yet and felt her stomach move against me. After it happened a couple of times, I leaned away from her and couldn't see anything, so I rested my hand on it and felt something moving around inside her belly. I almost started crying and just woke her up and word vomited something like, "Hannah, I know you're pregnant. You look pregnant, and I just felt something move inside you. Please go to the doctor tomorrow or at least take a test so I'm not going crazy." I don't know how to explain it, but she just looked at me. Then she said, "It's nice to know that you think I'm fat," and told me I was just tired and to stop bringing it up or she'd have to rethink our relationship. I was freaking baffled, and she didn't talk to me for 2 days again, and then it was like the conversation never happened. I feel like I'm in the freaking Twilight Zone. Hannah is so visibly pregnant, you can literally see her belly moving if you're looking for it, but she keeps saying she isn't. I can't just leave her because something is so wrong with her right now that she clearly needs my support, even if she won't acknowledge it. I don't know what to do to get her to talk to me. I can't force her to see a doctor or take a test, and there's nobody I can call other than having her committed. And I don't know what will happen to her if that happens. I just want her to tell me so we can do this together because I want to be a dad more than anything. Either she's pregnant and hiding it for some weird reason, or I've lost the plot. I feel like I'm going insane and I love her so much and just want her to be okay again. Edit. I'll delete it later, but I managed to take a photo of her belly and it's on my profile. I know I'm not going to sleep tonight, but I'm getting help for her tomorrow. Edit 2. I'm talking to the GP. I have to work today, but I'll talk to Hannah when I get home. I'll probably update on my profile. Also, I'm deleting all the disgusting aroused messages in my inbox. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Severe bloating, severe gas, and abdominal distension are common symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome, which could also explain what you're seeing and feeling when you touch her tummy. My friend with IBS easily looks 5 to 6 months pregnant during a bad flare-up. If your girlfriend knows her body well, has experienced this before, and is on a highly effective birth control method, I could see her getting annoyed or upset with you for not believing her. With that said, your concerns are reasonably valid, and it's kind of gross the way she's dismissing you and giving you the silent treatment. At the very least, that level of distension for a long period of time cannot be comfortable and probably warrants a doctor visit to understand what's going on. Comment 2. You have a lot on your mind now, OP, but if you're interested, I have found this paper, Psychoanalytical Comprehension, about it. As a nurse, you may have some appreciation of the phenomenon anyway, but if you wanted more science behind it, ultimately, she needs prenatal care. There are unfortunately many complications that come with pregnancy that could be a danger to both of their lives. And on the slim chance she isn't pregnant, a moving mass that size should definitely be checked out. Now for the update. A lot has happened since my last post, and I'm still reeling from the events of this past week. I never imagined things would turn out this way, and I'm at a loss for what to do next. After my shift at the hospital, I came home to find Hannah curled up on the couch, looking more exhausted than ever. The tension between us was thick, but I had to confront her. I reminded her of the love we shared, the support we've given each other through every challenge, and how we've always been a team. I begged her to trust me enough to seek help, or at least talk to me about what was going on. She finally broke down and admitted she knew she was pregnant. The heartbreak in her voice was unmistakable as she explained her fear of how it would change everything. She was terrified of losing her independence, of the impact on her career, and how our relationship might suffer. It was a side of Hannah I'd never seen, her vulnerability laid bare, and it shook me to my core. We spent the night talking, crying, and holding each other. It felt like we were reconnecting after months of distance. But the next morning, she was gone. She left a note saying she needed time to think and that she was sorry for everything. I was stunned. The woman I loved, who I thought I knew inside and out, had just walked out of my life. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and going to work was a struggle. My mind was consumed with worry for her and our unborn child. Then, 2 days later, Hannah's best friend, who had been like a sister to me over the years, showed up at my door. She was furious, accusing me of pushing Hannah too hard, of not respecting her wishes. She revealed that Hannah had confided in her about the pregnancy months ago, but was too afraid to tell me because of my own dreams of fatherhood. She thought I would force her into a life she wasn't ready for. I was floored. All this time, Hannah had been carrying this burden alone because she didn't want to crush my dreams. It was a gut-wrenching realization that I had failed to see the signs of her inner turmoil. The following days were a blur. I reached out to Hannah's family, only to find out they were in the dark as much as I was. Her mother, who had always been a strong presence in our lives, was heartbroken to hear the news. She had always seen Hannah as the strong one, the one who could handle anything. To learn that her daughter was struggling was a shock to her system. I tried to focus on work to keep my mind occupied, but it was impossible. Patients and colleagues noticed my distraction, and I received a warning for my lack of attention. It was a wake-up call. I realized that I couldn't let my personal life affect my professional responsibilities. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, Hannah returned. She looked different, more determined, but also more scared. She told me she had gone to the doctor and confirmed the pregnancy, but there was more. She had been experiencing complications, and the doctor was concerned about her health and the baby's. The news hit me like a ton of bricks. Not only was I dealing with the emotional turmoil of our relationship, but now there was the very real possibility that I could lose Hannah and our child. It was a sobering thought that put everything into perspective. We spent the night talking, really talking, for the first time in what felt like forever. We laid out our fears, our hopes, and our uncertainties. It was raw and painful, but it was necessary. We decided to take things one day at a time, to support each other and face the future together. But the next morning, I woke up to find Hannah gone again. This time, she left no note, no explanation, just an empty space where she should have been. My heart felt like it had been ripped out of my chest. I had no idea where she was or if she was safe. Throwaway because my brother-in-law follows my main. This morning he admitted that he has been trying to get me pregnant because I am getting older, and he doesn't want me to regret my choice like those other women, my boyfriend's near exact phrasing. I have always been clear about my boundaries. No kids. Pregnancy terrifies me, and I've always wanted to adopt anyway. I was considering fostering before I even met my boyfriend 4 years ago. I have been trying to get a partial hysterectomy for a couple of years, but my doctors have been giving me the runaround. I also admittedly second-guessed myself when I found out the majority of my family on both sides have had anesthesia awareness. 2 have been in therapy for PTSD from it. So I have hesitated this past year and might decide against it. We were married in October. This only came up because I have been feeling sick. I thought I had the flu and have only just been feeling better recently, and I told him I was going out to my friend's bachelorette. He asked if I was going to be the designated driver and got mad when I said no. He said I shouldn't be drinking when I'm sick. I told him I was fine. I was mad at him because he was being what I thought was silly. Until he dropped the F-bomb, "What if you're pregnant?" I can't take hormonal birth control, by the way. Only the copper IUD, which I got put in and removed the same day in the ER because it had shifted already and was causing me intense pain. I asked him why he thought that, if a condom had broken. I was racking my brain, and then he just started to cry and told me we didn't have the money for adoption and that he hadn't been using a condom the last few times we'd had intimacy. He is still crying. I am sitting on the toilet. I don't know what to say. He said, everything he's read is that women regret not having children. I think he genuinely believes he was doing me a service, but I'm not sure because he's also crying. It honestly sounds like he is having a breakdown. How do I navigate this? Is this something that can be navigated? I literally thought this man was the love of my life. I just told my sister how stupidly happy we were yesterday. Edit, I am at my friend's house and can't sleep. She had tests at her place. It was positive. I just feel so sick. I've thrown up 3 times from the stress. I feel disgusting. I don't know if I'll update again. I don't know how far along I am. I need to make an appointment. I also don't know where he is. He took our car. Edit. I'm tired of reading about people asking how I didn't feel the difference between a condom and no condom. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I trusted him. I didn't notice. I'm sorry if that disappoints you or that you have experienced it differently. I didn't notice. I think I'm done on here for a while. Thank you to everyone else who helped me through this. But these people are making me feel like it's my fault and I just can't deal with that right now. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He doesn't believe he was doing you a service. He believes that he, as a male, knows more about your body and wants because you are a woman. He does not care that pregnancy could unalive you or make you severely depressed. He cares more about his weenie and feelings than your literal life. What he is doing can be considered rap, intimacy, attack at the very least. You need to take a pregnancy test and make arrangements to abort if you are pregnant, document everything, and file for divorce. You will never be able to trust him again, and he doesn't care about you. I'm sorry. Comment 2. He's crying because he's feeling his feelings, not empathizing with you. He's crying because he got caught. He's crying because he knows that you know he's a rapper. He repeatedly rapped you with the intent to get you pregnant because he thinks he knows better and that you need to get pregnant. There is no navigating this. Please choose yourself and set yourself free, and if you can, make him pay for what he did to you. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for the support on my last post. It's been a rough couple of weeks and I've got some updates that I need to get off my chest. After finding out I was pregnant, I was in shock. I couldn't believe my husband, the man I thought I knew, had betrayed me like this. I'd always been upfront about not wanting kids, and here he was, trying to force that life on me. I felt so alone, especially since he had taken off with our car. I managed to get to the doctor to find out how far along I was. Turns out, I was already 8 weeks pregnant. 8 weeks of lies. I couldn't wrap my head around it. The doctor was kind, but I could see the confusion in her eyes when I explained my situation. I guess it's not every day someone comes in with a story like mine. I had to take a few days off work to process everything. My boss was understanding, probably because I had always been a reliable employee. I never missed a day, always stayed late when needed, and my work was top-notch. But now, I was a mess, and I hated that my personal life was affecting my professional one. My sister was a rock during this time. She reminded me of how we grew up, always having each other's backs. Our parents weren't the best, often too caught up in their own drama to pay much attention to us. But we had made a pact long ago to never let each other down. She was furious at my husband for what he did, and she was the one who suggested I should confront him. I finally got a hold of him after a few days. He was at his brother's place, the same brother who follows my main account on Reddit. I went over there, ready for a confrontation. My husband looked like he hadn't slept in days, and honestly, neither had I. We talked, or more like I talked while he listened. I told him about my fears of pregnancy, my desire to adopt, and how his actions had shattered the trust I had in him. He tried to apologize, saying he thought he was doing the right thing. But I couldn't accept it. How could I? He had taken away my choice. The conversation turned heated, and his brother had to step in before things got out of hand. I never thought I'd be that person, having a screaming match in someone else's home. But there I was, feeling like my life was falling apart. I left his brother's place with no resolution. I was still pregnant, still betrayed, and now even more confused about what to do next. My sister suggested I stay with her for a while, and I took her up on that offer. I needed space from my husband to think. During this time, I started to notice something odd. My husband had been acting strange before this whole mess, too. He was always on his phone, whispering when he thought I wasn't around. I had brushed it off as work stress, but now I wondered if there was more to it. Then, one day, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was a woman, and she asked if I was the wife of my husband. My heart sank. She explained that she had been seeing my husband for months, that he had told her we were in an open marriage. I couldn't believe it. Not only had he tried to trap me into a pregnancy, but he had also been cheating on me. I confronted him again, this time at our house. He couldn't deny it. The evidence was right there. He had been seeing this woman, and she was also pregnant. My world stopped. It was like a bad dream I couldn't wake up from. Now, I'm sitting here, trying to figure out my next move. My sister is urging me to leave him, to start fresh. But it's not that simple. There's a baby on the way, and now there's another woman involved. I thought I knew my husband, but these past weeks have shown me a side of him I never knew existed. I was in a decade-long relationship with the person mentioned in the title. We have a child together who is in first grade. Recently, I discovered she was siphoning from our daughter's money. I would put away every month, school fees and savings, as well as using her salary to fund expensive hotel guest house stays with one of her employees under the guise of work. I called her out on this as soon as I found out, and her new guy's reaction was to send people to my house. She gave him the address, I would later find out, to clean up everybody living in it, for lack of better terms. I wouldn't include this if it were not a necessary part of the story. Please forgive if it treads any lines with the sub-rules. Her reaction to that? I antagonized him by confronting her, so no foul in her book. I am blowing it out of proportion, despite multiple voice notes and text messages. I kicked her out of the house due to obvious danger in this, and her new guy cannot help her with a place to stay. Without giving too much away, she earns less than half of what I do, and he earns a quarter of what she does. She's currently couch surfing around her friends' relatives' places, while he allegedly lives with his mother in a studio apartment. Recently, she's contacted me to ask me to co-sign on a lease with her, as she doesn't have any other options. And while I want to help her because I care about her, I also feel she has made her own bed and should lay in it alone, or with that guy. The consequence of all this up and down is that legally, he's not allowed anywhere near our daughter anymore. So the two of them moving in together would likely mean she cannot see our daughter anywhere that isn't neutral ground, because I don't want her at my place. She knows this, and this is partially why she asked for my help, as if the other guy signs with her, he will want to move in with her. Should I feel bad and help her out? Should I tell her this is her doing and leave her to her own devices? Terribly conflicted. What do I do, guys? Update. Thank you for your advice, everyone. There are simply too many comments to respond to them all. I have a small update to share with you. I'll make a full-blown post probably a week or so from now, depending on how things go. My now ex has voluntarily checked into a shelter home for women whose lives have come off the rails tonight, and after speaking with them, they've assured me that she is indeed there tonight, and that they test for drugs as part of the admission process and as part of the ongoing board lodging requirements. It warms my heart somewhat that she understands that she needs help. This covers the roof over her head temporarily and makes sure she is on the straight and narrow for the next little while. I think it may be too late to salvage our relationship and trust, but I wish her the best in recovery. Lastly, someone here has reached out to me who knows me in real life, as this story is a big deal in my local community. They've pointed out that the AP junkie whatever is indeed among the comments here, and I hope he too is learning from the responses of others about being a decent human being. Update 2. Today was a frustrating one. It was the restraining order hearing, and he, AP, didn't turn up to court. It is important to note that while I have an interim order against him, we have to complete this stage of the process to get a 5-year, 10-year permanent order instated, as the interim expires at the end of February. The judge insists that there is not enough in the dozen voice notes, 4 call recordings, and 7 pages of pretty explicit text threats to deliver a verdict in absentia and set another date for April so he can be allowed to tell his side of the story. For those of you who have asked about calling the cops / going the legal route, this is why I have zero faith in my local justice system. Personal note. To you, homewrecker, I know you are here reading this and posting snide comments. My ex, your new puppet, has told me as much, and looking at them, it's obvious to me. You were a big man when you made direct, repeated threats of what you want to do to a little girl, which I won't go into the content of here. But we both know you meant more than the cleanup act you promised. If you are not man enough to sort this out as men supposedly do, at least have the cojones to explain yourself to myself and the court. Hell, tell everyone here and see what these folks make of it for some free peer review opportunities before we see the judge. Thank you again, everyone. Except you, AP. See you in court. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I'm sorry, but this man sent people to your house to unalive you and your child, and she's still with him? Get her out of your life and use her relationship with this guy to get full custody. She is not a safe person to have around your daughter, and frankly, you should have as little contact with her as possible. Put your daughter before your own feelings. Comment 2. Her audacity is unbelievable. Even under the best of circumstances, I would advise against co-signing for someone. I'm sure you know that doing so makes you legally and financially responsible for your ex-partner's lease and its cost. She doesn't deserve your help or to have you as a support system. Now for the update. Hey everyone, a lot has happened since my last post, and I'm here to fill you in on the latest drama. So, my ex, the one who was using our daughter's savings for her secret rendezvous, has been bouncing from one friend's couch to another. Remember how she asked me to co-sign a lease? Well, after a lot of thought, I decided against it. I couldn't shake the feeling that it would just entangle me further in her mess. But here's where things get wild. She tried to get her new guy to co-sign, but guess what? His credit is shot. No surprise there. So they're stuck in this weird limbo, and she's been calling me nonstop, trying to guilt-trip me into helping. Now let's talk about the restraining order drama. The hearing was a total bust. The guy didn't even show up, and the judge wouldn't make a decision without hearing his side. Can you believe that? With all the evidence I provided, it still wasn't enough. It's like the system is failing us. But wait, it gets juicier. My ex actually reached out to me, crying, saying she's scared of him now. She's seen a side of him that's freaking her out. Apparently, he's been getting aggressive with her, and she's worried about her safety. Talk about a turn of events. I've been trying to keep things stable for our daughter. She's been asking about her mom, and it breaks my heart. I've been taking her to therapy, and it's helping, but this whole situation is just a mess. Now, for the big shocker. My ex showed up at my doorstep last night, out of nowhere, looking like she's been through a war. She was sobbing, saying she made a huge mistake and that she's done with the guy. She begged me to let her stay, just for the night, promising she'd leave in the morning and figure things out. I was torn, guys. On one hand, I didn't want her anywhere near our home, but on the other, she's the mother of my child, and she looked genuinely terrified. So I let her sleep on the couch, made sure our daughter didn't see her, and sent her on her way first thing in the morning. But here's the compromise we came to. She's agreed to go to counseling, get a job, and prove she can be responsible. In return, I've agreed to help her find a small apartment and pay the first month's rent. No co-signing, no strings attached. I'm doing this for our daughter so she can have her mom in her life in a stable environment. It's been a roller coaster, to say the least. I'm still processing all of this, and I'm not sure what the future holds. But I'm trying to do what's best for our daughter, and that's all I can do right now. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.